Have you ever felt stuck in the middle? You are not broke anymore. You have paid off your credit cards. You have a little bit of money saved up. You did everything the gurus told you to do, but you don't feel rich. You don't feel free. You still have to go to the job you don't love. You still get a knot in your stomach when you have to pay a big bill. You have escaped the immediate danger of poverty, but you are now floating in a vast, lonely ocean of financial mediocrity. Most people think the financial journey is a straight line from 0 to $1,000,000. They obsess over the first $10,000, and they dream about the 7-figure finish line. But they are missing the most important, the most transformative, and the most dangerous milestone of all. It is not the first dollar, and it is not the last. It is the $50,000 mark. $50,000 is a strange number. It is not enough to retire on. It is not enough to buy a Lamborghini. But what it is the dividing line between two different universes. It is the escape velocity point where you break free from the gravitational pull of being poor. The person on the other side of $50,000 does not just have more money, they are a different person. They think differently. They act differently. Their brain is literally rewired. My name is John, this is the Penny Plan, and today I am going to show you the psychology behind the $50,000 tipping point, the brutal math that makes it so powerful, and why crossing this line is the only thing that separates a life of financial struggle from a life of financial control. Before we explore the promised land of $50,000, we have to understand the treacherous terrain you must cross to get there. I call this financial no man's land. This is the brutal stretch between having a basic emergency fund of $10,000 and reaching true security at $50,000. This is where most people get stuck for decades, or worse, slide backwards. The enemy in no man's land is not a lack of income. The enemy is a lack of perspective. When you have saved $10,000, you feel like you have accomplished something huge. And you have. You are no longer one flat tire away from disaster. So what does your brain do? It tells you to relax. It tells you to reward yourself. This is the first psychological trap, the false summit. You climb the first hill and you think you have conquered the mountain. You look at your $10,000 or $20,000 and think, I deserve a better car, I deserve a nicer apartment, I deserve that vacation. So you start spending again. But you are not spending from a position of wealth. You are spending from your foundation. You are pulling bricks out of the bottom of your wall to build a nicer window on the top floor. The whole structure becomes unstable. The second enemy is the slow grind. The journey from $10,000 to $50,000 is not exciting. It is boring. It is month after month of putting money away and seeing your account balance slowly tick up. There are no fireworks. There are no victory parades. It is just discipline. And in a world that sells instant gratification, discipline is an act of rebellion. Society is weaponized against you in this phase. Your friends who are still living paycheck to paycheck will question you. Why are you still driving that old car? You got a raise. Why are you always cooking at home? Live a little. They are not trying to sabotage you. They are trying to validate their own poor choices by pulling you back into the herd. Misery loves company, and financial misery loves a happy hour. The system is also designed to keep you here. When you have $20,000, banks start seeing you as a profitable customer. They start sending you pre-approved credit card offers with higher limits. They send you letters about home equity loans. They want to give you a golden shovel so you can dig yourself a deeper hole of debt. They know that a person with a little bit of money is the perfect target for a lifetime of interest payments. This no man's land is where you have to be the most vigilant. It is where you have to ignore the siren song of lifestyle inflation. It is where you have to understand that you are not just saving money, you are building power. And $50,000 is the first real taste of power you will ever have. So, what actually happens the moment your net worth crosses $50,000? It is not just one thing. It is a cascade of 4 fundamental shifts that change your entire reality. The first shift, the psychological rewiring. The human brain is a survival machine. When you have less than $50,000, a significant portion of your mental energy is subconsciously dedicated to scanning for threats. You are constantly running a background program that is calculating risk. Can I afford this? What happens if I get sick? What if the rent goes up? This is called cognitive load, and it is exhausting. It is like trying to run a marathon while also solving a complex math problem. When you hit $50,000, that background program shuts down. For the first time in your adult life, your brain has a surplus of processing power. It moves out of scarcity mode and into strategy mode. Instead of worrying about how to survive the month, you start thinking about how to win the decade. This is not just a feeling. It is a biological change. Your cortisol levels drop, you sleep better. Your ability to make rational, long-term decisions improves dramatically. You stop making fear-based choices and start making opportunity-based choices. That $50,000 is not just cash. It is a cognitive upgrade. It is like going from an old, slow computer with a million pop-up ads to a brand new supercomputer with a clean desktop. Your entire capacity to think about your future expands. The second shift, the mathematical acceleration. This is where the numbers start to get fun. When you had $10,000 invested a great year in the stock market, say a 10% return made you $1,000. That is nice, but it is not life-changing. It is a rounding error in your annual budget. It is hard to stay motivated when your rewards are so small, but let's look at $50,000. A 10% return is $5,000. $5,000 is not a rounding error. $5,000 is a significant amount of money. That is a month or two of living expenses for many people. It is the entire out-of-pocket maximum on your health insurance. It is a down payment on an investment property in some parts of the country. This is the moment when your money's part-time job starts to feel real. You are still the primary breadwinner, but your money is now a reliable side hustle. It is showing up to work every day, earning you money while you sleep, while you are on vacation, while you are sick. Let's put it another way. To save $50,000 by yourself, if you save $500 a month, it would take you over 8 years. But if you have $50,000 invested and it is earning a conservative 7%, it will generate $3,500 a year on its own. That is the equivalent of you saving an extra $300 every single month without lifting a finger. Your money is now doing the work of another person. This is the point where compound interest stops being a theoretical concept you read about in books and becomes a tangible force in your life. You can see it, you can feel it, and that visual proof is what gives you the motivation to push to the next level. The third shift, the career and opportunity shift. This is where you go from being a pawn to being a player in the game of work. When you have a small emergency fund, you have what I call survival money. It can save you from a disaster, but when you have $50,000, you have leverage money. Leverage money changes your relationship with your job. You no longer walk into your annual review hoping for a 3% cost of living raise. You walk in with a different energy. You are not desperate. You know that if they say no, you can walk away and be fine for a year or more. This confidence is palpable. It changes how you speak, how you negotiate, and how you value your time. Ironically, the less you need the job, the more they are willing to pay you to stay. But it is bigger than just negotiating a raise. $50,000 allows you to invest in yourself. Maybe there is a certification in your field that costs $3,000 but could increase your salary by $15,000 a year. When you are broke, that is an impossible expense. When you have $50,000, that is the best investment you could possibly make. You are using capital to increase your earning power. You can also afford to take calculated risks. You could quit your job and start your own business. You could take a lower-paying job at a startup with huge equity potential. You could move to a new city with a better job market. These are moves that are simply off the table when you are living in no man's land. $50,000 buys you a ticket to a different level of the game. The fourth shift, the lifestyle and relationship shift. This is the most subtle, but perhaps the most profound change. When you cross $50,000, you stop having money fights. Money is one of the top causes of divorce and relationship stress. When you are constantly worried about bills, every spending decision becomes a potential argument. With $50,000 in the bank, the tension evaporates. The car needs new tires? Annoying, but not a crisis. The dishwasher breaks. Okay, we'll get a new one. You stop fighting over the small stuff. This frees up so much emotional energy that you can invest back into your relationship, your family, and your friendships. It also changes your day-to-day existence. You stop the mental gymnastics of small purchases. You don't have to stand in the grocery aisle for 5 minutes debating whether to buy the organic strawberries. You just buy them. Not because you are rich, but because you know that a $2 difference on a carton of fruit is mathematically irrelevant to your financial future. This frees up an incredible amount of mental bandwidth. All the energy you used to spend worrying about microtransactions can now be focused on macro decisions. Where should we invest next? How can we optimize our taxes? What is our 5-year plan? You graduate from being the chief financial worrier of your household to being the chief financial officer. So you have done it. You have fought your way through no man's land. You have hit $50,000. You feel the psychological shift. You see the math working. You feel the power in your career. You are on top of the world. And right here at the peak of your confidence is the most dangerous trap of all. I call this the plateau of comfort. $50,000 is a uniquely dangerous number because it is enough to make you feel comfortable, but it is not enough to make you free. The voice in your head, the one that was screaming in terror when you were at zero, is now whispering sweet nothings. It is saying, "We did it. We are safe now. We can finally relax. Let's buy the house. Let's get the nicer car. We have a $50,000 cushion. We can afford the payments." This is where millions of people stop. They reach this level of middle-class security and they take their foot off the gas. They use their $50,000 as a down payment on a $300,000 lifestyle. They sign up for the mortgage, the car payment, the private school tuition. And in an instant, they are right back to being broke. They are not $0 broke. They are golden handcuffs broke. They have a nice house and a nice car, but they have zero liquidity. They have no army of money working for them anymore. They have just traded one form of stress for another. Instead of worrying about a $500 car repair, they are now worrying about a $3,000 mortgage payment. You have to understand that $50,000 is not the finish line. It is the starting line. It is the fuel in your rocket ship. If you use that fuel to have a barbecue on the launch pad, you will never get to the moon. The moment you hit 50,000, you must not change your lifestyle by one single dollar. You must continue to live as if you are still in no man's land. You must keep your old car. You must keep your modest apartment. Because if you can keep your expenses low while your assets are starting to compound, the journey from 50,000 to 100,000 will happen faster than you can imagine. And the journey from 100 to 500 will feel like you are cheating at the game of life. The $50,000 milestone is the great separator. It is the point where you choose your path. You can choose the path of comfort, where you trade your hard-earned capital for a slightly nicer prison of payments and obligations. Or you can choose the path of freedom, where you see that $50,000 not as a reward, but as a weapon. It is a weapon you can use to build a life of choice, a life where you own your time, a life where you are not controlled by a boss or a bank. It is the first step to becoming a sovereign individual. If you are in no man's land right now, if you are grinding between 10 and 50,000, do not give up. You are building the most important part of your financial machine. Every dollar you save is another soldier in your army. Keep fighting. The other side is closer than you think. And once you get there, you will realize it was never about the money. It was about who you had to become to earn it. You had to become disciplined. You had to become patient. You had to become a long-term thinker. And those character traits are the real wealth. If this video helped you understand the importance of this milestone, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video so we can help more people escape no man's land and build a life of true financial control. I'll see you in the next one.